I sat down with Chris Klein, head of Guy Carpenter's sales operations and market relationships in London, for a preview of the Monte Carlo Rendezvous.
The Monte Carlo preview is brought to you by Guy Carpenter.
Monte Carlo is a curiosity for many in the industry, the senior executives, the glamour, the parties. What really happens at the Rendezvous?
Well, of course, Monte Carlo is a thoroughly agreeable place to be, especially in September. And yes, the impression could be one long round of parties, and we do stay in nice hotels and eat in fine restaurants. But I think the truth is really rather more prosaic than that. In essence, you tend to have a lot of brokers chaperoning their clients around with meetings with reinsurers in a fast round of meetings in various locations that sort of last 30 minutes. So it's the first cut. People are probing and trying to find out what they think is going to happen at the renewal, with various functions going on in the side. And of course, well, for underwriters, there's always the opportunity to do a bit of practical risk selection and pricing in the casino.
Each year, prices are top of mind at the Rendezvous. What are the drivers of price, especially this year?
This year, there are strong supply factors. When we went into the year, we had a situation where there was excess capital in the industry, and that was reflected by a weakening of prices at the 1st of January renewal. Of course, since then, we have had a string of major catastrophes, natural catastrophes, in the Asia-Pacific region, and also in the United States with the tornadoes and latterly storms. So there have been some substantial losses there which have eroded some of the surplus capital that we thought was in the industry. But we still think the industry has excess capital, but budgets for catastrophes are tight for the rest of the year. So there was some softening in some lines. At mid-year, there was some increases in loss-affected areas. But we're in a bit of a waiting game at the moment.
The industry experienced significant losses in the early part of this year. Now with Hurricane Irene and Katia, there's already a buzz about prices hardening. Will they?
Well, I mean, that is the question that everyone is asking. At mid-year, there was some hardening, particularly in loss-affected areas. To put some perspective on this, estimates are running at about 70 to 75 billion US dollars of cat losses in the first half of this year. I mean, that's an enormous amount. That is more than the total cat losses for 2009 and 2010 combined. So very, very substantial. Add to that the fact that a lot of those losses have been in what we call cold spots, not peak zones, so they did not have capital loadings as you would for, say, the Gulf of Mexico or a California quake or a Tokyo quake peril. So the pricing for those losses, for those perils, was perhaps less than one would have hoped for in retrospect. So will prices move up? We're waiting. There is still surplus capital in the business. It has been eroded. Capital growth has stalled. And people will be concerned. We're not through the hurricane season yet.
Chris, you have your finger on the pulse of the industry. Will there be any surprises at this year's Rendezvous?
At Monte Carlo, there are all sorts of things that could happen. We perhaps might hear the announcement of a merger or an acquisition or a disposal, a sale, trade sale. So that it's always possible that something like that could happen. There could be a major rebranding exercise. We know that one reinsurer last year did that. There could be someone opening a new line of business or a new facility. Perhaps we'll hear of the retirement of a major personality or character in the business. The rating agencies, the cat modelling agencies could always do something. They could always say something. So there are plenty of potential surprises. A catastrophe could happen as well. And without wanting to sound too somber, I think it is well worth remembering that 10 years ago, when we were all at Monte Carlo, 2 aeroplanes struck the Twin Towers and another 2 aeroplanes attacked the United States, and You know, hundreds of our colleagues and friends and associates in the business lost their lives, in addition to the thousands of others. So yes, the unexpected can always happen at Monte Carlo.